Hello everyone, this is Jim Lucy, Editor-in-Chief for Electrical Wholesaling and Electrical Marketing with the November 2nd edition of today's Electrical Economy podcast, sponsored by Champion Fiberglass. The company began producing epoxy fiberglass conduit and fittings in 1988, and in 1989 developed the first conduit from epoxy resins that had flame resistance and low smoke characteristics that met the most stringent codes and specifications. In today's broadcast, we'll explore some key weekly indicators that will give you a sense of where the electrical economy will be heading in the coming weeks. We'll also be giving you a sneak preview of Electrical Wholesaling's 2021 electrical sales forecasts. Let's first check out some of those weekly economic indicators. They are initial unemployment claims at the state level, freight car traffic, the Baker Hughes rig count, oil prices, and copper prices. Our thanks again to Champion Fiberglass for sponsoring today's electrical economy for 2020.
Let's look first at the unemployment claims at the state level. The weekly unemployment data from the U.S. Department of Labor and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics highlights the states with the most unemployment claims so far in the COVID-19 crisis. This data is valuable to electrical distributors, manufacturers, and independent reps because it offers empirical evidence of just how big an issue layoffs are now at the local level. On a more positive note, when these claims start declining and establish a trend in a more positive direction, it will be a clue for you about when the economy in that state may be starting to improve.
The advanced number of initial unemployment claims unadjusted totals 732,223 in the week ending October 24th. That's a decrease of 28,354, or 3.7% from the previous week. The advanced unadjusted unemployment rate was 5.1% during the week of October 17th. Good news is that it was a decrease of 0.4% from the previous week. The 5 states with the most initial unemployment claims during this period were California, with 152,057, a decline of 7,819 claims. Illinois, 54,819. That's an increase of 7,817 claims. New York, with a total of 52,283 claims, a decrease of 2,607 claims. Massachusetts, with 47,202 claims, an increase of 1,798 claims. And Georgia, with 43,362 claims, a decrease of 15,030 claims.
One of the more interesting leading indicators for the overall U.S. economy is freight rail traffic. It's a measure of the amount of raw materials and finished goods being shipped by rail. The best source for this data is the American Association of Railroads, which publishes this data weekly at www.aar.org.
Total carloads for the week ending October 24th was 227,543, which was down 6.5% compared with the same week in 2019. Weekly intermodal volume was 295,110 containers and trailers, up 9.4% compared to 2019. Total combined U.S. traffic for the first 43 weeks of 2020 was 20,164,031 carloads and intermodal units, a decrease of 9.6% compared to last year. For the first 43 weeks of 2020, U.S. railroads reported a cumulative volume of 9,253,138 carloads, which is down 14.7% from last year, and 10,910,893,000 intermodal units, which was down 4.8% from last year. As you can see on the slide, some of the individual product categories with the largest decreases include coal at 26.4% and motor vehicles at minus 22.6% over the same time period of last year.
If you track the oil market, you're probably familiar with the Baker Hughes rig count, which tracks the oil and gas rigs that are operating. This data is available by the state, basin, and nationally at www.rigcount.bakerhughes.com. This slide gives you an idea of the largest oil and gas deposits. It really gives you a sense of just how many of the large oil plays are in Texas and Oklahoma, and how big an area the Marcellus gas region covers in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and parts of West Virginia.
The decline continues in the Baker Hughes rig count. The total rig count for the United States stands at 287 operational oil and gas rigs, up a few rigs from our last report, but still down 65% from this time last year. That's a drop of 543 operational rigs. Once again, the Permian Basin and Texas accounted for the largest portion of this decrease, with a decline of 284 rigs. We've got some new information on the Baker Hughes rig count in this week's presentation. For the past few months, we've highlighted to year-to-year declines in the Baker Hughes rig count, and being in the 60% range, they are without a doubt quite extreme. But when you look at the current data and compare it to where the oil market was just 7-8 years ago, which we do in the slide for the 2012 to 2014 range, you can see how much the oil business has shrunk. The oil numbers shown in blue regularly topped 1,300 operational rigs back in that time frame. Over the past year, they have been less than 600 operational rigs. The price for a barrel of the benchmark West Texas Intermediate oil spent a fair amount of time over the past 2 weeks under $40 per barrel. Oil prices have a long way to go to get to a price where drillers make money. That varies by region, but a good rule of thumb is $60 per barrel.
Economists like to call copper Dr. Copper. That's because it's a leading economic indicator for future economic activity because it's used in so many industries. The construction industry is among the leading markets because of its use in wire and cable and copper plumbing pipe.
Copper prices have been riding over the $3 per pound mark for most of October. As you can see in the slide, that's a pretty high mark compared to where it's been for most of 2020. We have a special treat for listeners and viewers of this presentation, Electrical Wholesaling's 2021 sales forecast. A survey of electrical wholesaling readers produced a forecast for 2021 of a 7.3% increase for sales through distributors of electrical supplies. This forecast does strike us as a bit high, but it is coming off a forecast for a 1.6% decline in 2020. We have often been within a point or two from the annual sales forecast from our friends at Discorp. This isn't one of those years, as Christian Sokol and his team are forecasting a minus 9.4% decline in electrical sales for 2020 and a 4.8% increase next year. However, our readers have often come in with an optimistic forecast for our annual market planning guide, but have backed up those numbers the following year. In this year's market planning guide, we are introducing a new way to look at total sales in the electrical market, core electrical sales percentage, and the percentage of that region's states and local markets account for with it. Core electrical potential is the combined total of estimated electrical sales potential of the electrical contractor and industrial markets. These two key market segments typically account for no less than 70 to 75% of a market's total electrical potential. Electrical Marketing Newsletter offers its subscribers quarterly updates on our estimates for this core electrical potential, which we base on our sales per employee multipliers that we present every year in the Market Planning Guide. On a regional basis, you may be surprised to learn that the East North Central region, which includes Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin, account for the largest share of electrical product sales at 20.9%. The Pacific region, with California, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, and Hawaii, is second at 16.2%. California accounts for an overwhelming amount of that region's core electrical potential at 70% of the region's total electrical core potential. Core electrical potential is not just an idle statistical exercise. It can help distributors, manufacturers, and reps find out where to deploy resources. The salespeople, for a distributor, maybe where to locate a new branch or how much inventory to have in it. For a manufacturer, to look at where they should have additional distribution or rep coverage. Some local markets or sales territories have a surprisingly large share of their state's core electrical potential. Consider a dominant share of these metropolitan areas. Phoenix with 78% of Arizona's total sales. The Boston metro area with 75% of the Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire area. The Front Range of Colorado from Fort Collins south to Pueblo, going through Colorado Springs and Denver and Boulder account for about 80% of the total electrical sales of Colorado. The Seattle metro area is about 60% of Washington, and Atlanta is about 52% of the total electrical sales potential of Georgia. And of course, in Texas, the 5 largest metros in that state, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and Midland, Odessa, account for 79% of the total electrical sales in that state. Think about those markets and what the coverage that a distributor, rep, or manufacturer must have in any of those areas to get the share that they need to drive sales for their markets.
This concludes the market data portion of our presentation for today. A special thanks to the folks from Champion Fiberglass for sponsoring today's Electrical Economy podcast series in 2020. While you're working on your electrical sales forecast for 2021, you might find yourself in need of some additional local data. Check out Electrical Marketing. An annual subscription for only $99 will give you online access to electrical sales estimates at the metro, county, and state level, electrical product sales estimates for 17 product categories at the state level, access to a construction database with hundreds of projects, and building permits at the state and local level, as well as other information on unemployment rates and gross metropolitan product. That subscription to electrical marketing will only cost $99 per year. You can subscribe by going to www.electricalmarketing.com. Just click on the menu icon at the top left of the homepage and click on Magazine Subscription.
Please contact me if there's any other type of economic data you would like us to cover in these podcasts. And thanks again to the folks from Champion Fiberglass for sponsoring the Today's Electrical Economy series in 2020. Our next presentation is set for Monday, November the 16th. Have a great day.